Hi everybody, I'm Lori. Welcome back to Milkweeds and Roses. Well, we're blessed with another sunny, bright, unusually warm fall day, which is great considering how late we are in November that we still have weather like this. And it's also great because I have a lot of bulbs that arrived that I need to get in the ground. And what I'm looking at is adding some color to what I now call the ash tree mound. So it's where our 40-year-old ash tree was taken out at the end of summer. It had finally succumbed to emerald ash borer, despite the fact that we were treating it for 10 years, following all the directions. I added some mulch around the ring of the tree and some wood chips at the advice of an arborist to boost the moisture level at the roots and help it, thrive and get as healthy a start as it could to fight what was inevitably a losing battle. There are millions of ash trees that have been planted throughout Iowa that have been taken out, that have been lost to emerald ash borer. It was an invasive beetle, pretty iridescent little thing, that was somehow inadvertently brought to this country, and it moved its way across the country. It's not in every part of the US, but it's in a lot of them. So I miss our ash tree and beautiful shade tree at the front of our house. I will find another shade tree. I have my eye on a couple different options, but that the best time for that will be spring. I'm going to take the winter to plant or to plan what to do in my ash tree mound. In the meantime, I thought, you know what? It's already mulched. I already have a ring of hostas around the outside of it that I had planted earlier in the summer. Again, just that was also to thwart our lawn mowing folks that kept nipping the roots and kept nipping the trunk. And again, I was trying to baby that tree for so long to make sure that it was safe and away from any possible harm. But I've got the hostas there, so I'm halfway to a bed already. I've started to put some bulbs in there. And in the meantime, I also, as I'm tipping out my annual pots from the backyard or from around my garden, that's where I dump the spent compost, the spent soil. So that is also in response to the fact that this area will continue to sink as the roots naturally deteriorate under the soil. We did have the stump ground down, so hence, a lot of wood chips. I did rake away a lot of those, by the way. And I'm trying to aerate the soil and build up some more goodness in it. We will have to add some more work on the lawn in the spring. But in the meantime, I'm thinking about that mound and thinking about adding some color that will at least cheer us up first thing in the spring. So I started with some snowdrops and some daffodils, but I have a whole bunch of other varieties here that have arrived. I have dwarf iris mixture. A lot of these I ordered online from Breck's or color bulbs, tulips, that type of thing. I didn't think of a lot of tulips for that area, frankly, because I have a lot of rabbits in the neighborhood. And if I can fence in an area, like my backyard or where the dogs will thwart rabbits or at least give them a good chase, that'll be fine. But here in the front yard, there is zero protection from predators. So, tulips are a nice idea, but I don't think in practice it's actually going to happen. So I'm thinking about things that are rodent and rabbit resistant. So irises, daffodils. Nothing eats daffodils. I have, another dwarf iris mixture. Here's a lavender I could put in. It needs full sun. Again, nothing really eats lavender. So I thought I might put a little stand in there and just kind of see what comes up. Some more daffodils. Daffodil My Story. Double white with a little bit of pink. These are early to mid-spring, and they get 10 to 12 inches tall in early to mid-spring. So we've got a whole mess of those. this one, Camasias. I love those. They do like boggy areas. So I might not put Camasias there. I mean, we do have a sprinkler, an in-ground irrigation system for our front lawn. But yeah, these might need more moisture. So I think I'm gonna put those in another spot. Probably by the pond. You know, that area that gets permanently wet because it's in a splash zone or that type of thing. There's some more Camasias and some Siberica, Cilia Siberica. Those are pretty blue flowers. I think that would be kind of a nice thing to put in here. And yes, again, I know I'm putting bulbs in an area that I will put another shade tree in this approximate area, but you can't plant right on top of where the former ash tree was. I mean, there's 40 years of roots throughout there. And although they ground down the stump, it's still gonna be pretty busy. So I'm adding this little garden bed, and we will plant a shade tree in proximity to that bulb mound. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So anyway, let's get going. So the first thing I noticed, I'm digging through the dirt here with my hand spade, because I never know what's underneath the surface there. And there are a lot of chopped up wood chips from the ash tree here. So it's going to need some work with the soil done here. A little bit of tilling. I do notice some earthworms here and there, but to put the bulbs in at the proper depth is going to take a little bit of work here. And the next thing I noticed is, okay, the hand tool isn't going to cut it. I need something a little stronger that's easier to put up. And not just a better tool, but yes, better shoes. I need my work gloves, my work boots, my kneeling pad. It pays to get organized up front instead of taking time like this to keep going back and getting the tools you need to get the job done. So I needed to use my new shovel. And then time for the big daffodils. Those went in first. I'd like them to be a haphazard sort of pattern here, not all lined up in a row, but look at the size of those bulbs. They're pretty big. And they say to bury the bulbs at least 3 times the depth that they'll need. Now, daffodils are, you know, nice in the way that they will pull themselves down to the proper depth for planting. And then back at the hand tool again to cover up the soil and break up some of the soil clods that are there. There's a lot of heavy clay in here. It's definitely moist. We'll have to see what happens once I work through this soil. And then next, putting in some snowdrops are going in here along with the Cilia that I'm going to put in, some of the blue flowers. I'd like a nice little swath of blue that you can see from a bit of a distance. Again, this is just early spring color. So a lot of this stuff will be done by, you know, late spring. And back at the more professional, bigger digging tool again, because again, this soil is very dense. And I have to work around some existing tree roots that are still in there. It's pretty wet. So I cover up the dirt clods that I can, break them up, and get the bulbs back in there. Okay, now, since dirt was ordered, this is from the pots that I have emptied from the backyard. I just put them in a wheelbarrow and dumped the spent compost here. And again, we'll work this into the soil. The worms that are there will work it through, churn it up. And again, this area is going to continue to sink as the roots underneath deteriorate. So I'm going to probably have to continue to add some more compost. And again, spreading it out, trying to get it even throughout this mound and mixing it in so that the bulbs will enjoy it, and anything else that we might put in there will enjoy it. And next I noticed, I have so many leaves still on the lawn. I might as well take advantage and use some of them, which are nature's mulch, really. So this one, yet another tool, got out the big leaf blower and decided to just move some of the leaves that were up around the house from our backyard maple and what was the ash tree here. Just move those to the mound and cover this dirt area because I don't like just exposed soil. Squirrels love it. They get to bury some nuts there. But if I can cover this area, give a little more insulation to these newly planted bulbs, help with the soil there, just kind of nature's way of adding some more organic material into this ash tree mound to help with the fertility. Now, the lawn service will eventually come and clean this up, but if I can keep some leaves at least on this particular area to keep the weed growth down as well, then I can remove whatever might be left here in the spring and reassess. So that pile of leaves, at least while they're there, will work to keep the ground warm. And speaking of keeping nature warm, this is also the time of year where we put out our feral cat house. Now this is it's very casual. It's not the best looking thing in the world, but we made it for free from what we had just around the house. My husband did anyway. There are 2 plastic storage containers here that, now the lid we hold together with duct tape, but it's got a layer of insulation just under the lid. There's a heating pad at the bottom, but it is protected under 2 layers here of both the plastic and then straw on the inside. That helps to keep the stray cats in the neighborhood warm. Also, we make sure to keep it off of the cold concrete by elevating it on wood, just little slats of wood. It's held in place by the sturdy cat, the stone cat, and so that is there on the front porch, at least for the duration of the winter. I realized I also needed to redo my front pots here because fall is over. So those plants came out, and I put in just some artificial lighted holly that I had and a trellis from one of my driveway containers. The dogs say hi. Hello. They always have opinions. And then I also have a plug-in water heater that doesn't freeze, and I put food out for the cat. And then these birch poles I've probably had for 6-8 years, but I put those in the soil along with other holiday materials. Well, that's it for the bulb planting on the ash tree mound. So still have to come up with a name for that. Ash tree bed? Front bed. New front bed? Well, kind of like ash tree mound. Ooh. Now we'll see. I'm not probably going to leave those leaves up all winter long on the top, but right now I'm just kind of giving them some insulation for some cold weather that we have coming up. I will have some, hello, neighbors. I will have some crew coming here to help out, just like we do every year, to remove the leaves off of the lawn. So I'll leave them some directions to leave this bulb or this ash tree mound alone, because I'm trying to reconstitute the soil here. And in the spring, what hasn't disintegrated, I will remove and add some fresh compost. But right now I'm just trying to protect the bulbs that are there, help the worms out that are there, encourage them to, hey, bring up the real dirt, and kind of ignore all that wood pulp, because I don't want it to be a bad situation under the ground that ends up too wet and rotting the bulbs. So I don't really know what we're going to find here come spring, but it's worth a try. I want to thank you for joining me here on Milkweeds and Roses, Zone 5B garden in Iowa. Have a little bit of everything here. Dry shade, boggy conditions, replacing an ash tree that was lost to emerald ash borer. Always a new challenge. And that's what gardening's all about. Again, thanks for joining me. I hope that you do like and subscribe to this channel. Let me know what questions you have. Have you replaced an ash tree? And what did you do with that area next? I will replant another shade tree here in the front, but that's not until spring. Got my eye on a couple of different varieties, but that's what winter's for, right? Figuring it all out. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and I will see you here again very soon. Bye.